up game number 1, SK versus WinFakt, also known as the former Mega Shock. WinFakt left side there, going to be on blue. First ban, first pick. They have the privilege. And Nunu has been pretty popular lately also.
Yeah, Nunu is just absurdly strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see him banned almost every match, but a lot of times he's let through, and you do see him a lot in the jungle and support role, but he's really is absurdly strong in the support. So some common bans, and it is kind of interesting that you see a lot of these supports being banned out. And if you imagine that and then take it to a further step, if you considered adding bans, if we jumped up to 4 bans apiece or 5 bans or whatnot, we already have 3 supports banned out. Then let's say we're playing against someone that likes playing Soraka, play against Black or something. So okay, so now we have a Soraka banned out, and then we're like, okay, well, there's only 2 big supports left that people would play, or there's 4 actually. Lulu, Janna, Blitzcrank, and Taric. And you're like, well, okay, well, I don't like playing against Blitzcrank. We'll ban Blitzcrank. And then let's ban Lulu as well because they're really strong. So now all of a sudden we have a game where there's no supports almost. There's, I'll be honest, that would be kind of interesting to see, but it would make things a lot more difficult in a lot of situations. It would ruin a lot of team comps.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that going into Season 3, 4 bans, I think would be a good call. Just anything based on percentages and what, bans are like in comparison to other MOBAs. Because there's so many more champs now than when the bump was made from 2 to 3. I think something needs to be there to compensate for it. But it's a huge, long debate. But if you want to listen a little bit more about it, though, you and Nick did a fantastic piece on Push the Lane. The latest one came out. Do check the YouTube. Check it out. It's a very great debate right at the end of the episode.
It was short, but yeah, we were talking about it a lot.
It was a short one, but it was a good one.
Yeah, it's we're still rubbing the kinks out of it, but thank you.
The debate was short.
Yeah,
the episode was freaking long.
It was pretty long.
It was pretty long, but
we walk into the studio at 8 in the morning and just we're like, okay, let's do a take. So here's what we're going to talk about, and then we just go and talk about it. And yeah, so we're still working on that, but it's fun. I've been enjoying it a lot, and I don't know. We'll see how that kind of evolves. We have some talks about things we're going to do with it. That's pretty exciting. But coming back to this game, SK versus WinFakt. First pick Ezreal, then followed up with a Corki and Janna. And Yellow Star, he has been playing a lot of Corki. We've seen him in the past. Corki is just an incredibly strong champion, but that has proven to be kind of his favorite.
I was talking with WinFakt a little bit before the game. We were talking about going over SK's current scrim before this match, and I told him, I was like, guys, Ocelot, he's playing Gragas. Are you thinking you're gonna ban him out? And they're like, I'm not sure if we want to because he's been missing all of his ults. But I think they're just gonna play it safe. They're gonna ban him out anyway. But remember though, Orianna is open. And if you saw the Season 2 European champs, you'll know a little bit about Orianna and Ocelot.
Oh, Orianna's just an awesome champ all around. I love Orianna, and particularly when you get down that really strong poking style from Orianna, she can be incredibly strong. We do see they are going. WinFakt is going to go with that Ezreal Lulu bot lane, so that really strong poking potential, and then that dueling kind of potential that we've talked about in the past. I kind of think it's interesting, though, that we're still seeing Gragas so prominent, because I kind of thought that Gragas would fall off really dramatically after the nerfs, because he would still be very strong in the early game, and that's where he's always excelled. You try and take over the game quickly. But people have always been kind of hesitant to play him, because if the enemy clears, you don't get quite the perfect barrel or whatnot, then you're going to struggle with him. And now with the 20-second addition to his cooldown, that means you can't quite poke out as much with his barrel. You can't just throw it, just to see what happens. You have to hold on to it a little bit more safely, which I don't know. I thought that would kind of prevent people from looking into it. And actually, I just realized that Shen is not, taken. So they will go ahead with the Shen and then going with the Anivia as well. So that's kind of interesting that he's been playing Anivia. I mean, Anivia is just such a strong champion. There was a time where it seemed like everyone was going to start playing Anivia, and then she kind of just fell off a little bit. It's really only been Froggen for a while.
Yeah, but when Froggen does play,
a couple people too.
When Froggen does play, it is an absolute treat, and that's the thing about Anivia too, is that she's not. She can get by with very few items. You get the Chalice, and you're pretty much set to go. You get past the blue buff every now and again. Just leave the ult on. It's fine, but. There's that's the thing with the swing in the meta. Gragas had a huge moment. Orianna's having a huge moment now. It's just trying to trying to adjust, and you're going to notice even with the oncoming of Syndra very soon. I think you're starting to see a lot more, champs like Gragas looking to passively farm in the middle, looking to get huge, go ahead, be huge forces into the mid, into the late.
Yeah, and we have seen a couple of people trying her out, like Scar with Dignitas, and like you said, because if you hit your skill shots with her, you already have really high burst damage. You don't really need to go into heavy AP builds. You can go into more utility-based builds. I think it's interesting. We're seeing the Zyra, and I really like the Zyra pick. I was kind of thinking we might see an Orianna from WinFakt, but they're going with the Rengar as well, and we'll see if that's AP Rengar, or if Lee Sin's going to be top. It's been a while since we've seen Lee Sin in the top lane, but he still can be a very strong laner, but that'll be really exciting to see. And Zyra is very strong and does work well against Anivia. You can just kind of poke out with your snare. If you hit it once, you can take her down with your seedlings pretty easily. So we'll see what SK goes with. I would expect that they're going to go with a fast jungler. They're not going to want to, because Lee Sin is already a control jungler and he's really strong at counter ganks, they're not going to want to go with a heavy ganker. They might go with like a Maokai, but I think that they're going to go with a more gank oriented. So actually, I think they're going to jungle Shen then. They could jungle Riven. We've seen Nintendo jungle Riven in the past, but I don't know. We'll see which one of them is going to be sitting in the jungle.
The thing with both Lee Sin and Riven, when you throw them both in the jungle, one of the big problems with them is that if they don't get their early involvement in kills, if they don't get early kills, if they don't get early assists, they have a tendency to fall off in the jungle.
Yeah.
Top lane, it's a little bit different. You do still get your farm, and I think I still prefer Lee Sin in the jungle, but I prefer Riven top lane just because she gets that farm. And the one thing that Riven has over Lee Sin is that once you start getting mid, once you start getting late game, Riven, she really excels at cleaning up fights.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case, and she really can snowball very early, and they're kind of swapping it up. I was kind of wondering, so I feel like they started off and they wanted to do Shen top, but then they saw that they were picking Rengar, and so they wanted to hold back, and so they are going to be sending Riven in. I think they were maybe thinking that WinFakt might swap up at the last second, but they are going to send Riven top because I'm not sure that Shen has enough harass to bully around Rengar early on. Shen does have really strong early harass, but Rengar, he's not the strongest laner early on, but you can kind of sit back and try and be safe and farm. But once you get going with your AP build, you can be unbelievable. I will actually take a look at that.
Take a look at this
real quick. I'm assuming it's AP Rengar. Physical damage. No, it's physical Rengar.
No, we've seen this though from Curse to You and from Black. Black, of course, with a little bit more success with it. But I think just now people are going to starting to recognize this Rengar dude. He's a pretty good top laner. He's got the great sustain. But here's the interesting part too. So it's going to be Rengar versus Riven top lane, and both of these champs, one of the best things they can do top lane is bush control. Riven, stay in the bush, pop back out, get your Q hits, get your stun, get your damage, and get out of there. Rengar innately with that passive, he's going to be leaping out of the bush. So top lane, it could go either way. It could go for a very volatile, just huge fights in the bushes, vying for control, or they can just play very passively, each sitting in their own bush and waiting for somebody else to do something.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that Rengar does like that bush control, and that's exactly what Riven takes away from him. Riven can just absolutely bully around Rengar early in the game, but we'll see. I mean, you guys all remember the videos, how much damage 80 Rengar can do with his Q when you double proc it. So that's going to be pretty dangerous. But Riven as well has a phenomenal kit to just, her damage output is incredible. Looking at Ocelot, he's actually running movement speed quints and, just kind of a standard masteries, but not a lot of mana regen. Instead, he has a lot of ability powers. So looking for that burst and the movement speed, it'll be interesting to see. He called it actually Will Smith TF. So unfortunately, Anivia can't jump, whereas Will Smith TF can. So,
here's the thing, I like it though. I like that page specifically against someone like Zyra, because you're going to be trying to avoid those seeds all day long. And Zyra, with the recent nerf to her kits, kits, I say plural because there's a lot of stuff across the board that got nerfed with her shortly after release. And I believe one of those things was also movement speed. So if you're going to be trying to keep the pressure up, you need to be able to outmove someone, especially when they have an ability like those turrets. And you also looking right now, Cowtard actually getting a few more, a few points in the offensive tree, just get a little bit more AD, trying to make auto attacking just that much easier, try and get that farm on.
And what Ocelot's Anivia lacks for in athletic ability makes for with strong mechanics, with those Flash Frosts for those long-range three-pointers. But we'll be able to take a look at these guys. 9-21-0 on Goats for that Lee Sin. And here we go. So we're in it. It should be pretty exciting. One thing with Rengar, which I think is starting to come into position that people didn't originally recognize. Like, people recognized there were some things that were OP about him. His ultimate clearly is absolutely ridiculous in certain situations. So in lane, he can struggle against some matchups because he does have kind of long cooldowns. He has the heal, so he's built around having a heal, but it's a pretty long cooldown heal when you factor in a number of things. So that kind of makes it difficult to go. He has quick burst, but he doesn't have a lot of sustained damage. So you have to be safe with Rengar. You have to make sure you're able to disengage with your E, use your snare to disengage. But Riven has so much mobility that if Rengar engages with Riven and exchanges his damage, Riven can just continue to chase him down. So that's going to be kind of a dangerous lane for him. But we'll see how that works. But what people have kind of started to realize with Rengar, once you get going, you can snowball so quickly. And not just snowball, but also in team fights, initiating on an AD carry and then throwing the snare to get that stun in the back line, or just picking someone off on the edge, or using it to run in as a regular bruiser and then disengage with your ultimate can be incredibly strong and protect yourself. So we'll see how he kind of plays it, but it should be pretty interesting. No exhausts on either of the junglers, so for the most part, standard. Master summoner spells from all of these guys.
I also realized too, because you saw the other day with Rengar on Black, Rengar and Shen, that combo in itself, have Rengar use the ult, go stealth, Shen ults on into him with the taunt before he ever pops us.
That's right.
But realize this though.
Well, Shen's on the other team.
Now we're getting Shen's on the other team, but there is still Lulu. So you go on there with Lulu, you stealth. Get into like the middle of the team. Lulu can ult. It's like we're popped up, we're slowed. What's happening here? It's kind of like, because I remember like back in the day, a very common like troll technique with a lot of people is like you just stealth as like Evelyn with a Sunfire cape, and people just think, why am I taking damage? Like I'm in the middle of lane, no one's here.
Yeah,
what's happening?
Yeah, that was always a really fun thing to do, particularly if you have Zillion on your team with the Evelyn and you throw up those Zillion bombs.
Well, you can still, like, if you have like Twitch or Shaco, you can still technically do that.
Yeah, you can, and it's still annoying as hell, but which is why I'm perfectly happy with all of the Invis characters not being good.
So we'll see, though. We'll see M5 like pick up Rengar. You'll have Alex go Zillion mid like he does sometimes, and then that'll just be even worse.
Well, and that's why AP Evelyn mid has been so strong recently.
We had this talk yesterday.
We did. We were talking, and I don't know like how it has been across the board. But at least in my games, I've never seen AP Evelyn mid lose. Like, it's so absurdly strong. People don't really know how to, pressure it at the level that I'm at. So it's dangerous to farm. Like, she kind of struggles in the lane. But once she gets any sort of items, you can just run around and insta-kill people. And it's just so difficult to deal with. But I mean, there are precautions you can take and shut it down fairly easily. It's just that people just don't take those precautions. But we'll see how that works. ELO Hell, they had used it in the Gamescom. They tried the AP Evelyn mid.
I love that Courage Wolf thing too. Is like
Courage Wolf?
Play against M5, run AP Evelyn mid.
Oh right. Yeah, and they did it. So,
they did. So
Shushei, he has no fear. But
damn right.
We'll see. We'll see where they go with this. Goats picking up the red buff early on, and Shen going to be going for the blue buff. They give him a really nice pull, so we'll see if he uses smite. I'm assuming he's going to. Yeah, he is. So he will, have to use it. Shen, on the other hand, is saving the smite, so Shen will be able to jungle, continue his jungle pretty quickly. That'll be a nice little advantage there.
So I think, Shen's going to be running on in, looking for the quick red, looking for the quick level 3. He'll have his taunt, and then he'll be easily mobile to go into either top or mid. El Mupo looks like Kevin's getting the aggression on, so I think more than like, wow.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. It's that Rengar, you have quick burst as Rengar, but then you're really cooldown dependent and you have no follow-up. Whereas Riven can just chase you away and be like, yeah, this was a joke. I'm, I'm seriously going to crush you now.
Yeah, but the builds we've been seeing though from these top lane Rengars very recently, it's usually Kindle Gem into Brutalizer. So you get extra health, you get a little bit extra percentage-based heal on the Roar. And then you also have the damage. You have the Armor Pen Ocelot getting very low in the mid. Did he get egged in mid?
Oh my gosh, he actually, Kaltar taking him down. And there's the quick burst potential. I'll take a look at that in a second. But Goats coming in for Kevin will be able to get in there along with El Mupo. But the turnaround from Shen, they are able to clean that up fairly easily. Goats does back out of there, but they pick up the kill onto El Mupo in the exchange.
Yeah, let's
really
head back
nice job.
mid real quick just to see the kill onto Ocelot there. Ocelot looking for aggression, does get the stun down on the Kaltar, but does get rooted. There's the plants, both of those saplings. Very quick.
You can kill people so quickly as Zyra. Her damage is absolutely absurd.
She's still good, man. Everyone stopped playing her. It's like, hey, she got nerfed. Why play her anymore? That's exactly why you still play her.
Yeah, it really is insane how much damage she does. And now he's in a great situation because Zyra can push fairly quickly and then pressure that out. Wow, actually, Irini chasing down Goats here up in the top lane.
Little duel.
I'll make sure not to miss anything from now on, but he comes in, and Riven, they're both very close to going down. Riven does pick it up and then barely gets out of there, but they have to worry about Kaltar.
Does have the flash. He could get a quick double here, though. He does get the root down onto the Shen. Blue buff and red buff on Zyra would be a huge here to shield. Just proccing just in time. The cooldowns were just there. But Kevin also a little bit of a threat. He does have the dash. He has a shield of his own. The root does get the tail end onto Kevin. There you go. El Mupo grabbing the kill onto the bunny. But Shen, unfortunately enough, will get away. Zyra wanted that double buff, but will not get it.
Wow, that's absolutely huge for El Mupo in that top lane to be able to take that advantage back away from Riven and have that red buff. Particularly since you need to get through the early levels as Rengar, because you need to get that cooldown reduction on those abilities. And having the blue, getting the cooldown reduction there is huge. But he can jump in, exchange some damage, and with the red buff, he'll have a little bit more slow to get away from Riven. So that'll be definitely nice. So we'll see how that kind of works. It is 2-2, so the advantage, it is equalized for the most part, but that definitely is a boon to Rengar in that top lane. The Ninja Tabby for Riven will help to shut down some of his damage, though.
Aaron did return to the jungle, didn't quite back yet, wanted to race, wanted a little bit extra gold before he got his first back. He still needs his first GP10. He still needs to get that hard gold, and you won't usually see as many GP10s on Shen as you would other support, I guess, oriented junglers, teamfight-oriented junglers, because he doesn't have mana, actually, to really benefit from that. So usually you'll see Shen just stick with the heart of gold, itemize later, something like Wit's End, Aegis, other items like that. Meanwhile, Rengar also got Ninja Tabby. He's looking to also reduce some of that damage coming on in. And see, with that heal, now he's level 4. Now he's got the Frosty built up. Now El Mupo can sustain. It's going to be a little bit harder time for Kevin to get in, but he does still have that kill. He does still have that advantage and the assist. So Kevin can still run that advantage home. Mupo just needs to be careful and needs to time that sustain correctly. There you go. Look at that. But RNA, very close.
Yeah, you will be able to chase him down, actually getting the taunt underneath the turret, but El Mupo should be okay. Particularly in that top lane, once El Mupo gets enough armor to exchange with Kevin. So Kevin can't really deal enough damage now because of that Ninja Tabby, and that's allowing him to get that heal and be successful there. And it really is absurd how quickly that lane's turned around, and El Mupo chasing down Kevin along with the shield from Lee Sin. The Q does not hit, but Kevin will actually exchange, so he gets his ultimate off very quickly, picks up El Mupo, so he gets rid of that double buff, and that's really big for him.
Yeah, Goats just did not land the Q, did not get there in time. They could have turned that fight around, but even still, though, WinFakt did get an assist on that, so there's a slight advantage. And just getting the taunt down, a little bit free damage on the Goats, force him out. Shen is a pretty tanky dude, so he can stick around and do stuff like that. Root going down on Ocelot in the mid from Kaltar just for harass. Just wants to make backing a little bit more inconvenient for the bird.
Yeah, and the pushing for Zyra, you can very quickly deny a lot of golden experience to your opponents. Goat's actually jumping in, but he actually takes a turret shot. Irini trying to chase him down, and El Mupo is not in range, so if he can get in another Q, he almost just barely has enough damage, so he picks up that kill. And
stuck around too long, man.
Just taking the turret shot was really, I don't know, just kind of an unusual play.
More of a
big
misplay.
Misstep. Yeah.
Big misplay coming in from Lee Sin there. And he also got Shen. Where did he go? He went bot lane, wanted to help out with this pressure on the bot. Atnex was ignited, drinking that potion as quickly as he can. Will still live, but just barely. That harassed that push coming in from Yellowstar Nif. It's pretty huge. Muppo still dueling and out in top lane, and you'll see that is a percentage-based heal. So the more health that Rengar builds, the more that heal will do. You see, you got the Ruby Crystal, more likely to go into a Kindle Gem or a Heart of Gold once the money is there.
I am curious though to see how El Muppo, how this early game can help him, like how getting off to this good start, how he's going to transition against Riven, because I'm not sure how the lane matchup factors in as it progresses. I would assume that Riven would be in control for a long period of time, but I've been kind of surprised that he's been able to lane so successfully in that situation. And Yellowstar and Janna, they've actually done a really nice job of bullying around Ezreal and Lulu despite how strong duelers they are. Lee Sin is coming down in the bottom lane though. They get the slow along with the exhaust. Nice. The Q in, he actually shields onto a turret there and then flashes for the ultimate. We'll pick up the kill. He has the red buff as well to kind of just annoy Yellowstar a little bit, getting him kind of low, but Yellowstar should be able to back out of there. Nice
ward placement, nice jump into that fight. And it's very, sometimes you also see like Janna's also do very much the same thing. They want to flash to get their position. They can knock someone backwards. But Nif, unfortunately, was not 6 yet. Could not get that ult because he didn't have it and could not protect herself from that mighty foot to the face. In the meanwhile, though, while the entire huge fight was going down in bot, Ocelot was given the blue. Huge boon for Anivia. The ult from Zyra coming on in. Kautar will not get anything off that. And there's that movement speed. Those are those quids we're talking about, too.
Yeah, and that mobility does help him, but he's still not able to avoid those snares. So, really nice play from Zyra. El Muppo using the brush to his advantage and has been able to wear down Kevin a little bit. Kevin has been able to, stay ahead of him in CS, so Kevin's still in a strong position there, but it is turning in El Muppo's favor, and we'll see how he continues to build. Shen does have an early Oracles though, so that will protect against Lee Sin's pressure some. He wants to kind of neutralize the lane, so that Oracles, it'll allow them to just face off, since they know, all right, bot lane we're doing pretty well, mid Anivia can hold fairly easily. Top lane we want Riven to be able to 1v1 Rengar without any threat of a jungle presence, so map control is huge for that.
Let's also not forget El Muppo, when he uses ult, if he tries to get away, if there's pressure that needs to be put on a top lane, Arne can just ult on in and get in with that quick kill. It's like, oh, hey, I'm invisible. No, you're not. I have an Oracles.
Yeah, no, that is actually true. That's one of the most annoying things is Rengar. But Kevin getting caught out, Goats will back off. He was able to come up top, but not quite able to put on the pressure. And Renei will be able to back off and take that red. So Kevin should be okay there. But I don't know. We'll see how WinFakt tries to transition. I would say the kind of team that WinFakt has, they would usually look for roaming as a team and picking up kills with both Zyra and Rengar through the mid game. But Shen kind of shuts that down. So I don't know if they're just going to accept a long laning phase and then push it right into team fights. Because in team fights, Anivia is going to have such great control. But Kautar exchanging with Ocelot, he is almost dead. 1 Q and he is egg. So now Goats should be able to take him down. There is the ultimate from Shen, but Kautar is there as well. And very quickly they're going to burst him the ultimate as well. Ocelot almost picking up Kautar, but they're barely able to pick that up.
That was a weird kick too. It's just like, Shen's coming in on the shield towards the Zyra. It's like Shen's going to be here any second, and now you have this flying bird coming at you, potentially with a ninja behind, but the kill happened just quickly enough where Arne does not port in. Yes,
it seems that Ocelot could in fact jump. Yellowstar going for the kill on Kautar, can't quite finish it up, but the turret will be enough to take him down along with Goats. So they will force them to back out of there. And Goats chasing down Kevin along with Rengar. They get the stun onto Nif, and the rest of the team, they're trying to chase them down. Another snare, and with the Lulu, the kick in from Lee Sin, they're able to pick that up. The flash from Shen gets him out of there.
And Kevin, he's still on his own. He's in retreat, drinking hell potions. WinFakt getting their positioning back. Ezreal ult also contributing a little bit to that fight. A little extra damage, looking for some extra clear also. But with all this time killed and a few champs down, WinFakt can easy grab this dragon here for a little bit extra gold, extend their lead, which is now a 3K lead at 12 minutes. Very impressive.
Yeah, and it is a really nice early lead for WinFakt. You know, Rengar, he needs that early lead, but he's 3-2 right now, so that's, you know, it helps out that he's, it helps keep him in the game despite the fact that he's a little bit behind Riven. So we'll see what kind of pressure he can put on it. He does have his little Rengar charm, so that'll be, you know, exciting to see how quickly he can build those stacks.
I think it's a little bit early to actually pick up the necklace, but you know, if he has the money, he might as well get it. And if he's picking up now, I think that's really El Mapo saying, I'm going to be staying in top lane. I'm not going to be backing for a while. Usually the optimal time to buy the necklace is level 10, because at that point it becomes a really cost-efficient item based on how much gold, you know, on average it takes per attack damage. And remember that, you know, the Bone Tooth necklace does give you AD based on your current level. Yeah, but
level 9, you're not really missing out on that much. If he's expecting to get kills now, you know, why not buy it? Like, that's, you know, a nice option for him
kills
there.
or assists, because it counts for both.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it does. So, you know, that'll be kind of interesting to see whether or not he thinks that he's going to pick those up, and whether he tries to kind of roam a little bit. You know, maybe come into mid on Ocelot. I feel like if he jumped Ocelot with his ultimate and the snare, then he would easily pick up that kill along with Zyra.
You got Nef taking some harass along with Yellow Star. He does need a Valkyrie. Oh, here comes the True Shot Barrage. Will miss, but will hit a lot of the minion wave. So it's going to be a little bit of an easier time for WinFakt to push on that in the mid. Shen going for an invade, checking up on the blue, just checking to see how it's doing. It happens to be out of town at the moment, out on vacation. You also got Zyra looking to push up the mid. I'm also looking at the farm, and Kautar is pretty far ahead of Ocelot right now.
Yeah, I mean, Zyra is one of the best farmers in the game. Anivia can be as well, but the early levels you can kind of struggle as Anivia, particularly if you're losing your blue. And WinFakt stealing the blue now, that's like exactly what you need to do. El Mupo exchanging again with Kevin, and it's wild to see, you know, how evenly these exchanges are going. Kevin actually burning the ultimate. He's going for the kill. We'll actually back off for a second, so gets some nice damage, but El Mupo jumping in once again and is actually winning this exchange along with the Ignite. The Shen ultimate coming in, and he is barely in range. The flash in from Kevin to get that Shen taunt, and they pick up the kill.
There's the Shen taunt. There's the Shen shield. So that's going to be down for quite a bit, though. You know, Shen, you did get to, there was a little bit of an increase to the cooldowns of global ultimates, such as the Shen shield. So it's going to be down for a while, but look what they got off it. They used it. They got a kill. It's fine. It's easy. They're already making a presence back here in the mid, fending off Kautar just for a little bit. But even though after that whole fight, Kevin was brought down very low. Can't stay in top lane forever when you're that low health. You don't have, you know, that much sustain. Plus, also, how much gold does Riven actually have right now?
Riven has 1,000.
1,000. So yeah, already has the brutalizer. Could be building up into something a little bit more.
Yeah, and usually at this point you're looking to finish the Bloodthirster on Riven. You know, he could go with a number of options, but that's pretty standard. And Goat's actually chasing him out of lane, so that actually just helps equalize the lane for Rengar, so he doesn't have to worry about, you know, Rengar falling behind it all while Riven's pushing the turret.
Unfortunately, when Rengar did die, he didn't have enough to quite get his own brutalizer. It was True Shot Barrage going down bot once again. Nip getting caught out. The Glitter Lance, all that slow, all that harass. Go for the flash, but nice. You got the Wild Growth and the Monsoon at the same exact time. Monsoon wins. But Ezreal, he's going to take all this time. He's forced SK out of bot lane. A little bit more time to free farm, a little more time to push that turret. And meanwhile, you got Kevin and Beard back top lane. You got Goats helping out El Mupo this time, but here comes Ocelot. Is he going to do anything here?
The turnaround from Lee Sin really helped them out there, just backing off. I thought they might go in for the dive, which would be really aggressive, pretty scary against Riven.
But, and a little foolish, I think, at this point in the game.
It really would be, but they're able to back off. The Flash Frost from Ocelot just holding him off, but Kautar very close to taking down that turret. Should be able to get it actually in the next wave.
But does that double blue buff? There's two.
It is a double blue buff.
He's got 2 blue buffs. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's just some weird graphical thing.
I think it's awesome. And, you know,
or he's that awesome that he has the double blue buff.
And if there's going to be another blue buff pass, I think, could there be 3? 3 blue buffs?
He did just get a blue buff pass, only 2 blue buffs, unfortunately. But still a decent number of blue buffs to his name. Shen is sitting mid, though, wants to see if he can get in. He goes for the Flash Taunt, along with the Flash Frost from Ocelot. They can burst him down very quickly. There it is, picking up the kill onto Kautar.
And only one of the blue buffs.
He does only. That's unfortunate. He should feel gypped right now. But
what a ripoff, man.
We'll see if it, maybe he can pick up another one later.
Went to the plant storage. She told me it was a double pack. Got home, opened the thing. So disappointed. Yellow Star and Nif taking their turn to try and
like
get some pushback down.
Fresh gum twins.
Yes. Yeah, God, those commercials are so long ago.
They were long ago. I don't know how many people actually will remember them. But
Ocelot taking the opportunity to get some free harass down onto the mid. Goat's taking a little. He's chilling out just for a little bit. Also, both of those mid-tier ones are very low. Ocelot also getting a steal onto the blue wraith in the meantime. Bot lane has been a very volatile lane. Every time we seem to go down there, Yellow Star and Nif, they're usually low. They're retreating back to their tower. You get some harass coming in from Etnix. Mid tier 1 does go down. Let's also take a look at a farm bot lane, 148 to 121. So there's there's a slight lead here for WinFakt and bot.
Yeah, I mean, they have been able to. It's been kind of a lot of pushing. There have been a number of duels between these laners, but mostly they're just kind of pushing back and forth between the two turrets. And they are almost. WinFakt has almost taken down this turret. Ezreal should be able to grab it right here if he decides to, but he is going to leave it up. So he wants the lane to equalize so that they can try and harass Yellow Star a little bit more. WinFakt, they are able to take down that mid turret, and Anivia does back off of it. But we'll see SK Nif getting pretty low. Actually, the ultimate from Ezreal trying to pick it up, and they might pick up Yellow Star here. He does go for the exhaust. The Janna ultimate will get him out of there, but the flash from Etnix, he needs one more Mystic shot, and it's just not quite enough. The flash in from SK Nif gets on that shield, will be safe there. In the meantime, they are able to pick up Rengar, and I think Zyra as well, so we'll go back real quick.
We're going to take a short step back. Also, was being pressured into mid. Tier 1 will go down. Elmupo taking credit for that one. Fast forward just a little bit. Ocelot's going to be face checking this. Does have the wall. 3 damage on the Countard and the stun. Brought down to half. Here comes Kevin straight on in. Zyra ult comes up. But there is the Shen ult to follow up with it. Zyra does go down in that barrage of blades. Elmupo looking for damage. He tried. He did not use the ult. He used the ult earlier on. So even if he did, that Oracles would have helped immensely. But SK with great positioning there, and then a wall. That Anivia wall does work sometimes.
Oh, they could tank this though. And Etnix, he's easily going to go down. They pick up the kill. They can transition over to the Dragon now, and a lot of that lead is kind of being negated here as a result of it.
And Dragon.
Right, with the Dragon, with all those kills. So SK doing a really nice job picking off WinFakt when SK had an understanding where they're going. They saw them, they knew they took the tower and they were coming down to Dragon. They had the mid ward here, and that's where they picked them up. And so they just kind of, they recognized to collapse as a team. And Riven and Ocelot, the two of them being able to pick them up, coming in with Shen as well on the side, did a really nice job there. So we'll see, how WinFakt kind of responds to that. A lot of the turrets are down from both teams, so that will allow a lot of map pressure if any of these teams decide to roam or try and pick up kills. But that does kind of benefit Shen, and we've seen that so far.
Yeah, if a turret is not, if one of the tier 1s is not down, it is very low at that point. Especially you look at the fights going down near bot lane. Etnix taking an opportunity to free farm in the mid, push the lane up, and hopefully return down to bot when Countard is done with his farm there. But you also see WinFakt, they're also taking an opportunity to just, they're staying somewhat close together. Elmupo, of course, being the obvious exception here because top lane is a bit of an island at the moment. Elmupo and Kevin still looking to duel. Kevin still being aggressive, still looking to push on in. But it looks like Elmupo, he's looking to roam. Where's he going next? He's just looping about back.
Yeah, I just had to back up a step because it was kind of slowing. So yeah, they are just going to be going back to their lanes. So long laning phase, which is kind of what you usually see at this point when teams don't really have a lot that they can pressure around the map. But there's not a lot of ward coverage in the top portion of the jungle. There's a lot towards the bottom. Both teams have put a large presence down there, but the Oracles and just the fact that neither team had really been sitting in the top, they both are kind of neglecting that for a moment here. So we'll see if that kind of changes. WinFakt, they are moving up towards the top lane, so I think they're going to look to push this turret, and they can drop it very quickly with Zyra. The
only problem, though, is that WinFakt is unaware of all the ward coverage SK had in the river, so they saw them come up. They're able to mobilize and prepare. You got RNA and Nif waiting in the tri-brush, waiting for their moment. Shen can get right on in with the taunt. His ult is just barely not up. There it is, in case he needs it, in case he needs that shield, but waiting in that brush. WinFakt, they have an inkling, but they cannot confirm for sure whether or not the backup is coming their top lane. But it's a good call just to back up regardless whether you have the ward coverage or not in this kind of situation.
They are completely trapped, though.
They could get dove. Elmupo, get back up to top lane. They need you badly, but Ocelot does get caught out in the tri-brush. Zyra ult going to be doing tons of damage, and the egg will not be enough. Nice catch from WinFakt and Zyra. Those seeds in the brush, they do give vision.
Yeah, really nice play from WinFakt because SK, they were kind of lackadaisical about their approach. So they had a 4v3 situation. They kind of wanted to force them underneath the turret. They, you know, probably could have done it if WinFakt hadn't been so proactive, but WinFakt, you know, they got a glimpse of SK, or I think, I don't know where they actually caught him. I think they saw him past the Tribrush wards for a second. Kevin trying to engage there will run right into the middle of the team, but WinFakt, they're kiting perfectly, and Yellow Star is very low. The Lulu ultimate onto Ednix will keep him alive, so they will back off without anyone going down, but it is a 5v4 as Lee Sin is coming up in the top lane once again.
Goats will be seen as he's looking to put some extra defense there onto WinFakt, look at the back line. And SK, they do know backing off accordingly. Nif is still out front, looking for a little bit of vision, looking for a little something in case anyone still starts to get aggressive. Throw down a nice easy tornado, and that'll be that. But WinFakt happy with their limited success here in top. Will back go by a little bit of something.
Yeah, so we'll see, you know, what they decide to pressure after this. As far as builds are concerned, Rengar, like you had said, going with that Spirit Visage early on for a little bit more regen.
I like that.
And it's kind of interesting, the fact that he is a physical bruiser, but not looking to get that much damage. You know, you don't play him like a Riven, where you're just like, yeah, I'm running around, you know, jumping in the middle of you getting a bunch of kills. You have to be a little bit more sneaky. You use his utility. You use his stealth and his snares in order to pick up kills for your team. So he's more of a support bruiser. So, you know, that definitely works out. The Chalice for Zyra, that's always been kind of common, but going with the Rileys as well, which we haven't really seen that much on Zyra, but it gives them a little bit more survivability. So they're pretty tanky as a team. They have the Lulu ultimate as well and don't have to worry about going down. But Zyra with the pick off onto Kevin, Lee Sin is here as well. Can't quite get the follow-up, so Kevin will be able to back off.
But also notice that on WinFakt, they don't have a whole lot in terms of hard CC outside of Zyra. So even if Zyra doesn't get what she wants, if she can just somehow get damage, that will be a slow. And there are tons of slows on WinFakt though. So once they get one, they can follow up with the rest of them. So the Rileys will definitely help out with that. You know, in the off chance that an ult, the second part does not hit what they want, or they can only get the turret shots, they don't get that close range.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it does help Zyra's Q a lot. It's just interesting because she already has so much CC that you usually, with champions that have a lot of CC, you don't prioritize it. So, but I mean, like again, for the reasons that we've said, it is definitely still a strong build. But we'll see, how she transitions out of that. Riven has a lot of damage, but not a lot of survivability. That's, just standard Riven play. You just basically run right in the middle of the team, go for a fast GA to counter out that, lack of survivability. Yeah. And that's actually going to be kind of dangerous for them. Like, I'm not sure how Riven is going to be successful as the game progresses, because WinFakt has a really strong kiting team with Zyra and with Lulu and Ezreal. They can just keep on, backing up, retreating, and poking at you until they decide to pick one of you off. And that like works perfectly against Riven. Riven tries to chase you down and get kills, and you just back up and then snare her and jump on top of her and just burst her down really quickly. But
in terms of the laning phase, though, it is still a 3-level advantage that Kevin has eked out over El Muppo.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a huge amount of gold, huge amount of experience. And look, there is that Bloodthirster on Kevin. But there is still going to be quite a bit of time until Riven does get that Guardian Angel. So still going to be a prime target for the time being. It's just a matter of what plays can WinFakt make before that purchase is made.
Yeah, and they are going to take down that top tower fairly easily. It is interesting because El Muppo, he has left the lane a little bit more than Riven has. And even though it looked like, Rengar was fairly even in that lane, Riven still was able to build up those advantages. They are going to continue pushing, though, and Anivia can stall fairly easily with that blue buff, but as a result, they're going to lose this dragon. So Yellowstar and Nif doing a really nice job there in the bottom lane. And WinFakt, while they're trying to kind of roam as a team and put on the team pressure like they have been, SK is doing a much better job of pursuing the entire map as a whole. So we'll see how that kind of differing philosophy works.
And they have the team to definitely do it because you have mobile champs like Corki. He can Valkyrie over, but the key here, the big number one, is Shen. He does have the ult. He can split push. He can be wherever he needs to be. And he's the key part as to why SK can do what they're doing.
The Shen with the Anivia, because a lot of times if you go as a full group, like a full team of 5, then the other team, they're going to have to respond with all 5 underneath their turret, and that's usually what you see. And as a result, this kind of mobile lane-to-lane strategy, it actually usually works to your benefit to increase your farm. So what WinFakt's doing, they moved to top lane, then they moved to mid lane. SK usually would be forced to follow them, and as a result, SK would always be behind on farm while WinFakt's farming all of the lanes. However, because of the Shen's global presence, and the fact that Anivia can single-handedly shut down a push. Like, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It's almost impossible to push through Anivia. Just those two facts alone mean that SK is actually coming ahead in farm from this exchange, because you see they were dead even, and now SK has over a 1K gold advantage, and they haven't even fought yet. But Kevin almost picking up Endix here, the flash in, trying to get in, Lee Sin jumping in as well. Six is here to try and force them back, and Rengar coming in the top. They're actually going to be able to force this fight. The kick back from Goats, and the burst from Zyra, and now the Ocelot ult, the Shen ult will be going on the Ocelot, but I'm not sure they have what it takes to turn it around. WinFakt will be able to clean this fight up and chase down Arinia as well. The GA onto Kevin, but WinFakt pulling them in and then having the kiting potential and the snares to pick up those kills.
SK using one flash to go and try and pursue that kill, that I can understand. Using two champs, two of your main damage dealers, two of your heaviest hitters, both using flash, both trying to get the engage and try and follow up on was essentially a lucky engage, a lucky kill, and a happy mistake. A little bit too much, a little bit excessive, and you saw, both Ocelot and Kevin, they're trying to get away from the fight.
Radiant is gonna try and go for it though.
No, will not get the steal, but WinFakt, they are a little bit low after his Baron fight, but with the Monsoon, you still got Shen in the middle of the pit, flash over the wall. Lulu will be safe in the shutdown coming in from Rengar. Goes still in pursuit. Yellowstar is also getting very low himself, but now that the Shen has been taken care of, Elmup on Kautar can also join in on this fight. The Q not going to be reaching his target, and Yellowstar will successfully retreat, but that is a Baron for WinFakt.
Yeah, really nice play from WinFakt controlling it there, because SK, they made some nice attempts to try and poke into them. Everyone was pretty low from WinFakt. Ezreal did go down, but WinFakt, they kept on moving as a team. They weren't stationary. They kept on poking out at Yellowstar, and as a result, Yellowstar was never fully comfortable to jump in, even though a lot of them were really low, because they could just burst them down so quickly with Zyra. So that was always the threat. So now a 1K gold advantage. It swings back in WinFakt's favor. It's 11 to 10, 42.2K to 41.1K. We'll see, if they can continue to pressure it. Yellowstar actually going for a Black Cleaver, and it's been a while since I've seen such an aggressive, Corki build. Cutie Pie used to be the only guy that liked playing Black Cleaver, and when people would ask him, Cutie Pie, why do you play Black Cleaver? He would just say, no reason, it's not good, I just enjoy it.
It makes sense, though.
It does work with Corki, right? It works with his skill set.
For someone like Corki, it makes sense when he has the armor shred, especially if you have a support like Tarek. He's just armor shred all day. But you notice though that there's not whoa, you got Goats once again meeting up with Kevin there in the bush. We'll get out of there. But it seems like SK now they're starting to capitalize on just a whole bunch of lucky engages, trying to catch people off guard, finding people in bushes. Ocelot being chunked out. Huge does not have the egg, and El Muppo with that dive and the extra health from the wild growth going to be more than enough to grab that kill onto the bird.
He took no damage from that turret. Nothing. It was all absorbed from the shield. So that's just absurd that he was able to do that, and they're just able to pick him up so easily. Arinii goes down as well. Can they chase down the rest of the team? Etnix almost going down, is able to back out of there. Kevin jumping into the middle, wants to pick up a kill, but the Zyra charms will be too wily for him. But the shutdown onto Rengar, that's barely. Actually a nice job by SK. That'll help stall them off a little bit.
A little bit of a consolation prize courtesy of the blue buff. Goats still going back in. He wants the pursuit. Does go for the second part of the Q on the Yellowstar, but does get out of their speed buff from Lulu, helping him get out. Kevin waiting for his opportunity. He's just laying in wait. He's like, no, I totally left to go to other lanes. WinFakt, go try and push, try and make something happen here. Coutard and Goats still staying here. Six is there also to help with this push. The tower is, it's still being pressured. It's still getting pretty low. WinFakt should be able to pressure it out. Now Ocelot has returned, looking to join up back with the fight, and that's WinFakt's Q to GTFO. Go back to base, spend some of that well-earned money, but still though, look at the gold. It is still a very limited lead for WinFakt.
Yeah, no, it is, they are nursing it, but having that Baron regen is huge. So SK, they can't poke them down much. It allows WinFakt to poke at the turrets a little bit more, so we'll see, how they kind of pressure that. But I don't know, WinFakt, they've been playing this comp to perfection, because they have the single target poke off. They're able to kite and then use Zyra's abilities very effectively. And just being able to dive with Rengar underneath the turret, take down Anivia so easily has definitely worked out for them. The third and final of the Dragons, if they can pick this up, SK, they do grab another one. So, that is always going to help them. It is only a 1K gold advantage for WinFakt. And Ocelot, he has the potential to stall this game for as long as he feels like. Corki going with a third BF sword. Like, that is absolutely absurd.
If he's got the money, you might as well do it. And there are plenty of builds to do on Corki. When we have that much gold, you might as well. Nice.
Oh wow!
Flash
Ocelot
for Flash.
With the flash.
Goats targeted Ocelot with the kick, but Ocelot flashed out, but was still in range of it, so kicks him into a completely different direction. But now you do have some of SK. They are displaced. They were at bot lane. They need to just swing back around, but El Muppo out in front, chunking down the mid-tier 3 to half. He's got Kevin going straight on in with the Shen ult, looking to follow up on everything. Zyra ult does get a little bit of a pop-up, but there El Muppo getting very low on that Ocelot, picking up with a final hit for that kill. Arne is also out on the side. The counter looking to clean up from a distance. Ocelot is egged. Will he revive it? Looks like it. Plus Zhonya's Ocelot there with the ultimate, looking for more damage. The counter will finish up getting some fried chicken for dinner tonight. Once again, mid-tier 3 goes down. The inhibitors being focused should go down pretty quick, and that was a huge extended fight. And SK, they were in a rush to go back and defend a tier 3, and even when they were during that fight, you saw Shen actually split off, getting way too low, and was split off from the rest of the team.
Yeah, SK, they were trying to force it real quick, couldn't quite do it. I think they were a little bit concerned because of how much damage they'd taken from the turret. Because WinFakt, by pressuring the bottom lane and then transitioning back mid, like you said, they did catch SK out of position, and it was a really nice play. Yep. They were able to wear down that turret despite the fact that Anivia has such a great defensive presence. And then SK, it looked like they were almost going to be able to turn that fight around. They were able to kite very effectively themselves, use the Anivia to pick off some members. They were able to grab Rengar there. But then the triple snare from Zyra was able to grab a number of them fairly easily.
And El Muppo did his job. He did his job right. He was out in front taking damage. Because, granted, yeah, he is a tanky bruiser. He's more tank than bruiser at this point. So, but he's got his regen. You see he's building more tank-oriented items. He's got the Warden's Mail looking to go into the Randuins. And just for a little bit something extra, he also does have the Youmu's built up, that Brutalizer.
Oh, Kevin!
Kevin getting caught out is a kitty temporarily. Will get out of there with a little bit of help from Nif and that Tornado. It's close calls coming from SK now. Yeah,
he should be okay though. With the Bloodthirster, he can regen fairly effectively. But WinFakt, they're trying to pursue it, and actually the speed boost onto El Muppo, he jumps right onto Yellow Star, and they burst him down very quickly. He is going to be able to kite a little bit, but with the Lulu ultimate, they have to watch out for that. And Shen trying to hold the left side, but they will chase them down. The kick in from Ghost, the Zyra ultimate. It looks like they're going to have it because Ocelot is caught. The kickback, and they do grab that kill. Lee Sin getting back out of there, but WinFakt is going to try and chase them down, and SK going to back off, but 2 kills for WinFakt.
You'll notice right there in that fight, you saw the Zyra ult going down onto Rengar, and it's like, okay, we're popped up your CC'd, we're gonna back out, our job is done, let's bring the second string, let's get all the damage dealers in. And you also baited out the Nif ult, baited out Janna with the Monsoon, did really nothing to clear out because everyone was already moved back temporarily in a light respite. Just like, you know what, we'll let you do your thing, and then when you're done, we're gonna come back in and destroy.
Yeah, really nice play from WinFakt, and actually, we'll take a look at that again real quick and see, that fight once again, because it was a pretty interesting fight. But it all started off with just the movement speed from Lulu, allowing Rengar to get into position. And they knew that Kevin was pretty low, so they had a nice opportunity here. But then they're forcing them back into a really tight area here where Zyra can force the fight. But Ocelot, he has to back off. He did a nice job walling off, so it forced WinFakt to back, and so they weren't all in position. But Rengar just did enough himself to slow them down. And like you said, the Janna Monsoon wasn't really that successful in that situation, but they were able to pick up a number of kills there.
Fantastic split, fantastic bait. WinFakt, after that fight, grabbing that Baron. They should be looking to push once again. I think this time, possibly for the game, the gold lead, we were talking about the gold difference mostly the entire time, is now 5K, is now at a more significant price point here. And 5,000 gold at this point in the game is a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, no, it is pretty significant. But again, SK does have a number of strengths to their advantage. They have Corki, who has an incredible amount of damage. They have Anivia, who can stall. But WinFakt, they're going to try and pressure this. It is a 5v2 up top, and the snare. Will they be able to pick up Nif, the ultimate? But no, he will not be able to get out of there. They pick him up easily. Too.
Just bought that Oracles to try and prevent those shenanigans from Elmupo, and does still get caught behind the turret. And now the pressure continues. Tier 3 in top, now being pressured by WinFakt. You do have some decent pushes in mid and bot. Also, the bot tier 2 is still up, but hopefully not for long. Just waiting for the minion waves to pressure on in. Wards going on over the walls from both teams. Just trying to get a little bit something more. Counter getting hugely chunked out though, and that's the threat of pushing every tower against an Anivia, though. There is still plenty of damage. They got Goats going on a kick against the wall onto Ocelot. In the meantime, Kevin looking to 1v4 even, but the shutdown coming in from Anivia onto the Zyro. Ocelot's very low. Kevin's very low, is shielded by Shen as he's walking away. Elmupo also got low. There's a quick 1-for-1 just for now, but WinFakt came out on top of that. All of SK has no choice but to go back and go back to Fountain and heal up a little bit.
Yeah, but they did stall the push, so that I mean that is a victory for SK. They they didn't lose anyone. They were able to pick up Kaltard. Really nice job, even though they were all very low. And it is interesting to me, the more I think about it, the reason that Yellowstar is comfortable with this build that he's going with is the fact that he knows that WinFakt doesn't have a good means of getting into the backline other than Rengar. Like, Rengar is the only threat of them picking up Corki. So as long as Corki plays safe, he should be okay. And then he just wants pure damage output. He wants Anivia, he wants Ocelot to be able to grab one person and then know that Yellowstar is going to kill him. So that's their main goal. So he's just going with a pure damage build, which is something I have not seen in a long time, but will be really strong as long as Corki is safe. It doesn't have quite the same burst and survivability that a Triforce build would have, or that another build would have, but just sheer damage output is absurd.
Well,
so
then I guess he's just gonna have to build a Triforce next then.
Right. We'll
build that Sheen first. How much AD does he have right now?
He's close to 400. He's 420. 420 AD on Yellowstar.
Just get him. Just give him a few bucks. Give him a Sheen, and then call us in the morning, because that's gonna be way too much damage.
Take 2 Sheens and call me in the morning.
Exactly. Elmupo
he's got him,
for the engage, though. Yellowstar is put away from his team to leap right onto him. Wants the Lulu for a little bit more CC and the slow, but Arne does get caught in the back line. Yellowstar does get back to base. Valkyrie over the wall, and Shield's helping him out, but there goes the Shen. There goes the protection. There goes the fight control straight out the window. Ocelot looking to clear waves and also dissuade WinFakt, but it's not going to be enough. There is a man advantage, there's a push advantage, there's a Baron that just expired. Baron buff is now gone, so 42-20 is when that's going to be returning.
WinFakt has been on the defensive, or SK has been on the defensive end this entire game, just because WinFakt has been so aggressive and constantly moving around the map. They're not just pressuring one lane, they're hopping back and forth and pressuring multiple lanes. And so SK, they're getting caught out of position as a result. Like, it's not just carelessness, they're just slowly going down. Ocelot almost going down to Elmupo, and they will chase him down along with the Ezreal, the Zyra as well. He is egg, and WinFakt will be able to pick this up. Kaltard does go down. SK trying to retreat, but it seems that WinFakt is just a little bit too strong for them right now.
The Winions are still pushing. The tier 2 and bot goes down.
Did you call them Winions?
What?
Nope, never mind. I misheard.
Would you like me to?
I was just imagining if we called them Winions from now on.
Like Funyuns.
Well, no, the super minions are the Winions. This is a Winion here.
What do you call
Sorry, I'll let you get back to your thought. Go, keep talking.
What do you call a promoted minion then? If he's a Wunion?
No, promoted minion is also
if you have
Winion.
promote, you've already won the game.
Right.
So the Baron buff did expire in those last few crazy engages. We'll give it about 2 minutes, the Baron should respawn. But SK, with a downed inhibitor, it was rough already for them to defend those Baron pushes, because they were at a huge disadvantage. They had those kills before WinFakt decided to engage, but now it's going to be even harder. If SK decides to contest that Baron, you're going to have the string of super minions pushing on into your base, may even reach those Nexus turrets. And plus, so right now, you see Kevin in the top lane. He's just looking to push out, making sure at least that lane is safe. Bot lane is unchecked for the time being, but Ocelot with an ult, just for a second or two, should be able to clear that up. So there's another minute or so for SK to try and push out the lanes, and that is their best mode of defense at the moment.
Yeah, and that's if they can keep the lanes pressured, then it will slow down WinFakt a little bit. But that's also been why they're getting caught out of position. So it's only a 3K gold lead. It seems like WinFakt is just putting on so much pressure. It's just abusive. But Anivia is pressuring the bottom lane. She does have to get up top quickly because this opens up an opportunity for WinFakt to try and push in on this top turret.
Goats leading the charge, minions behind him, and Ocelot is not with the team. You are not Shen, you cannot shield like that. Is that Banshee's veil? I see. Also, a little bit extra protection for the bird. You're going to be resisting one of those spells, one of those critical slowing CC spells, of which WinFakt has many. Glitter Lance, you got the Rylage proc also on Zyra, you got slow from Lee Sin, you got the Trinity Force proc from Ezreal. That's just a lot of slow all on one team. Elmuppo out in front. In the mid, there's Ocelot with that ult looking to clear the wave. And look at SK. SK, they're trying to camp it out. They're trying to cheese it out a little bit. He's like, come on, come into this one bush. We dare you. But WinFakt is also doing the same. This could be bad for whoever pokes out first. But Elmuppo looking to focus down Ocelot. There is the wall separate from the rest of the team, just temporarily. But Lee Sin with the shield looking to close the gap. There's the Zonia's Hourglass, but it's not going to be doing enough. Aaron out in front, along with Kevin, looking to slow out NX, but he does shift out of there. Cowtard is trapped in the red buff area, and Kevin looking to single out is a kitty temporarily, but does get the stun, does get the kill. Yellow Star looking to solo, but there's NX with the GA at 6, the only one there to help. But can they clean up here? Kevin does get the kill. The GA. Kevin's GA also came
SK
back.
is getting this turnaround.
Wow.
And now Etnix is way out of position, gets over the arcane shift, he picks up Nif. Nif losing another Oracles. I know he's not happy with that.
We're not done yet, though. Etnix, he still has plenty of mana. He can still check out, but Yellow
Star's got the Valkyrie.
He does have the Valkyrie missile. Nice shift out from the missile.
They have to get back in their base, though. They're taking so much damage.
Look at the super minions.
I think they're okay for a second, but it's close.
There's just enough time.
Etnix could come back into this because Yellow Star has no mana. Etnix could poke around at him and hit him with a couple of Mystic shots.
Etnix does have blue and red buff, but yeah, I think at that point Yellow Star has regained enough health to be a bit of a nuisance and actually swing that fight. But there's this huge super mini wave, and SK, they've timed it perfectly where they're done and rested and back to the base before they really take any significant damage. There's some damage on the tier 3 and bot. It's down to about 2/3. But considering what they gained on that engage, it's worth it.
Yeah, no, that previous fight was huge, and it started off with Irinei. He was able to split them. Rengar was trying to force the fight onto Ocelot, but they weren't, quite able to get the full engage that they wanted to, and SK just did a really nice job of retreating. Yellow Star in particular looked incredibly strong in that fight because he was dueling with all of WinFakt and kiting away from their damage. And they are actually going for the Baron.
The Baron is there. We just can't see it.
It is there. It's just an unfortunate glitch. But they will be going for that, and Yellow Star is coming in really quickly. It is down to 4K, and he avoids the charm really easily, but Elmuppo coming in, but Riven with the turnaround. SK, they can turn this around.
Kevin leading the charge out into the bush. Wild growth from Lulu going on herself just to keep the rest of SK down, but Kevin no longer has that Guardian Angel. Gonna be dying on that one. This shutdown coming from Ezreal and also on the Corgi. Ocelot goes trapped in his egg. You cannot escape from this one. WinFakt turning it back over. But RNA's is trapped in the pit. Want to get the vision. Taunts out of there. But are they gonna SK? Are they ballsy enough to go for a steal? I don't think they are.
It would be kind of dangerous because if they go for the steal and Shen dies, that might be a push in from WinFakt. That
could be the game.
But I'm a little bit surprised that WinFakt didn't go for the inhibitor anyway. And Irinei, he does go for it. Can he steal it? He does actually steal it.
Wow.
So that will help out his team a little bit, but it's still a long wait for the rest of the members. They have 30 seconds remaining. They're going to lose at least one inhibitor, very likely 2 inhibitors, because that bottom inhibitor is going to be exposed as well.
WinFakt, you might want to reconsider this push. Janna with Baron buff, pretty threatening. Not really. No, inhibitor going to be going down pretty easy here. It's going to be at least 10 seconds before Kevin and Yellow Star come back up. So there's plenty of time for top tier 3 and top inhib.
To be fair, though, even with Shen down, he wouldn't have been able to defend this. So
yeah,
he got the steal. It didn't really cost them anything, to be frank. And so that's it just slows them down a little bit, and it allows SK to stall a little bit. But losing 2 inhibitors, that's going to make things very difficult because Anivia can only shut down 1 lane, and Anivia doesn't have the damage to take out super minions. That only Yellow Star and Kevin would have that. So that's really going to pull them thin. So we'll see, how that kind of factors in. But the fight, it was over once Yellow Star went down, and I mean that was very clear. That's usually the case with AD's late game, but they really need Yellow Star to not get caught from Rengar. But it's just so difficult. Like if you don't have oracles and pink wards all over the place, then it's really difficult to defend against his initiation.
And El Muppo, you see he's tanking up even more, looking to suicide in. Now has that frozen mallet to ensure that whoever he leaps on, they're not going to be leaving anytime soon. Couple that on top of what will eventually be a Randuin's Omen. You also have the Yomus for a little bit more extra damage for get a few more attacks in before you inevitably go down.
Well, and the movement speed for the initiation.
And the movement speed is fantastic.
Just to chase him down. You throw off your ultimate, you throw off I guess you'd have to throw off the Yomus first. I think it would bring you out of invisibility maybe.
It might. Well, that's a riff for later. El Muppo with the flash over the wall, wanting to get something, but the leap was somehow interrupted. But El Muppo taking way too much turret damage does give him the first one to go down. Zyra ult not getting anybody. Arne's out in front. Is rooted, and a little bit of a misstep from WinFakt. I don't think they expected El Muppo to go down that quickly.
Yeah, he did try and force it, and he has a lot of armor, so it wasn't really from the turrets. It wasn't the fact that he was turret diving so much, though he did take some damage from the turrets. It's just SK, a lot of it's just Yellow Star. Yellow Star has such an absurd amount of damage, and it's the true damage and the armor shredding. It goes straight through, and
the GA now.
It really burns you down quickly. Only 315 now, but still, he is a... Did he sell an item? Yeah, he did. Yellow Star actually sold his Black Cleaver because he realized that he wanted to get that GA. He was just going down a little bit too much to Rengar. So that was kind of the concern with going that heavy AD build, was whether or not he would be susceptible to that backline initiation, and he felt like he was. So selling the Black Cleaver, but he still has plenty of damage.
Yeah, he's also got the longsword, so probably Last Whisper going to be coming in next for Yellow Star to try and recoup off of some of the armor shred that Black Cleaver provided. Also, not to mention that all of WinFakt is really starting to tank up. You got GA on Rengar and on Ezreal and on Zyra. That's a lot of armor release, and he's got Chain Vest in addition to the Randuin's on himself. There's just a lot of armor that needs to get shredded, and Yellow Star, he'll be more than happy to oblige. He just needs the money first.
Yeah, but it isn't to the point in the game where Yellow Star, Corki's damage output vastly outgains Ezreal as long as Corki is safe. So, that'll be kind of difficult. We'll see whether or not Etnix has enough to still eat away at those frontline champions. But it is kind of interesting. If they can't burst through the front line anymore because of how much control Ocelot has, and they can't get back to Corki, how are they going to continue to pressure this?
Take two here on bottom tier 3. Got the wall, was very good tool to keep WinFakt away, but El Muppo knows now this time, like, I'm not going to jump over that wall. We know what happened last time. Ezreal ult looking to clear the wave some a little bit and clear a little small path for a few free shots onto that turret. Yellow Star is caught right there in the Zyra ultimate, and the bind does use the GA, but he is surrounded, is trapped, but the Valkyrie will actually get him out of there. Kevin Arne out in front, but El Muppo takes out the turret, so that's one less thing to deal with there. And minions still pushing on in, though. Ocelot out in front, looking to defend just on his own. Everyone else has had to go back to Fountain just to recoup just a little bit. The Hourglass will not be enough, but the kick actually kicks the egg away, and yet the Banshee's Veil pops up like mid-air.
Yeah, but it is the last Nexus turret. They're trying to end it, but SK pushing back onto him, trying to stop this onslaught from WinFakt. Kevin trying to chase them down as Yellow Star is chasing down Kaltard, avoiding the snare there, and with Irenae, we'll probably be able to pick him up, but all inhibitors down and those last two Nexus turrets. So both Nexus turrets, it is very dangerous. The GA is popped, and Ocelot is the only one defending that Nexus. We'll take a look at that in a second as Lee Sin jumps in, trying to save Kaltard, but can't do it, just doesn't have enough. Etnix poking back at them, trying to force them out of there as Kevin is chasing them down for those last couple of kills. They do get an inhibitor that respawns. The Nexus, it hasn't taken any damage yet, so they still have that to them. Goats, can he get it? He doesn't have a ward, so he just gets trapped in there, and they are able to continue to pressure them and pick up a couple of kills.
I'm sure he was thrown down.
They have two inhibitors up now.
They have two inhibitors up, so in fact they have a lot of work to actually recover from. Etnix with the ultimate does not get RNA. He actually walks right past it, is temporarily a kitty, does get out of there. It should be fine. But in this pursuit, though, look what's happened to Corki and to Riven. They've swooped on in. They're looking for the sandwich. Etnix does get caught out. Ult going down onto Yellow Star. trying to shift away. Ezreal will just float on out. Does still have his Guardian Angel proc, but a nice attempt from SK. WinFakt just a little bit more wily.
If they had been able to pick up that kill into Ezreal, that would have been absolutely huge for them. But SK, Ocelot's actually going to struggle here clearing that out, but he does get it. It is down to half, but the inhibitor will be able to recoup some of that HP some. But SK, you know, they've done a really nice job of holding off, and it's just a combination. Both teams, you know, WinFakt, they have a team that works a lot better on the defensive end, so they want to force fights, but they want to just be able to pick people off and be reactionary. But because they're ahead, they're trying to pressure into SK's base, and they just can't quite make it past that front line, past the Shen and past the Anivia and Riven. And so it's been a long game for SK to try and make this comeback, and it looks like they might actually be able to do it. But WinFakt, they're constantly, you know, trying to build on their lead, and the Baron, it is up once again, so you know, they can pressure that.
And enough of the minion waves have been cleared out from SK where they should be able to pressure this without a whole lot of worry. They just can't stick around for long because you do still have super minions pushing in the bot lane, and the Nexus is naked. So if there are already super minions that get that far in, it could be bad news bears for SK. Yellowstar in the river looking to shoot off a few missiles, trying to soften up WinFakt before they go for the full engage, but you got two stabby plants sticking in the river, looking to keep Yellowstar and Kevin away, but Kevin looking for the engage, does have the ult proc.
Another
steal.
steal.
Yes, steal coming in from SK once again, but here, at least this time, the rest of the team is here. Goes out in front with 6. Can they chunk anyone out? Can they get anyone out of there? Monsoon coming on in, clearing Goats away. He will not be getting any more damage down onto Yellowstar. Elmapo and Ghost, I think they're a little bit confused. Like, how do we engage? Do we go in on this? I don't think you can. And with another wonderful Shen steal onto the Baron, at least this time now the entire team gets the benefit. And SK, they have killed that much more time into this game.
2 steals from Irenae in this game. Really nice play. So we'll see, you know, how they can hold off. They do just need to get that last inhibitor up, but I thought that might be a dangerous situation for SK because WinFakt, they probably would do better out in the open rather than these tight confined spaces that Anivia controls. But they, WinFakt, they weren't quite able to chase down SK. SK with really nice positioning, and with Janna and with Anivia, they're just able to completely control the front line of these fights. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious whether or not SK is going to have enough to push it in now.
Well, that was a perfect ult from Nif too. Like that was absolute picture perfect. You had Goats and you had Elmapo trying to still get whatever damage he could on the Yellowstar, and he was in considerably a lot of trouble. But yeah, without that ult, he would have been gone, and then WinFakt could have swept on in. But we've talked about this before about how, you know, Yellowstar's damage capabilities are immense, especially now with that Baron buff. In addition to all that regen, it's going to be huge. But Nif, a small misstep there, going to be brought down to half. But SK Kevin looking to still get some damage on it. Counter getting very low. The wild growth going to keep her alive, courtesy of Lulu. But Zyra will still go down. Kevin looking to clean up. Etnix will revive from the GA, but is surrounded by all of SK. Doesn't even get a breath in. Goats shielding on over to 6. Looks to Q on over to the race to try and escape, but will die in midair in 6.
Oh, Rengar is going for it, though.
Rengar, though.
He's going for it. Kevin has to back
backdoor
off. They're trying to pick it up. Yellowstar should be able to pick up his sticks here. He is going for it. But Rengar, the inhibitor, respawns.
Oh, the worst time possible. Elmapo now has to clear through the inhib if he even wants to get to the Nexus, and now Kevin is there to dissuade him, and he will not be able to 1v1 this.
I don't know if he's going to even be able to get away, but
I don't think so.
SK, they've made this huge comeback. They're pushing in, 40 seconds remaining. They're just going to go straight for the Nexus right here. And at this point in the game, Zyra was trying to hold them off, but they just couldn't quite do it. They just didn't have enough burst damage, and Ezreal didn't have enough damage at this point in the game. They didn't have enough frontline damage to take out the Riven and take out the Shen. They were just too tanky, and SK was able to turn it around in the fights just very slowly, protecting Corki, and SK's done it. They win the game.
Wow.
I can't believe that they made that long, just steady comeback, but 12K gold advantage at the end of the game just because of how long they'd held off. Jeez. Really impressive play. Going to take a look at the stats screen real quick before we go back to webcam, but just really awesome play. Both teams getting into those late game builds, having the Zeke's Herald on the supports for those really long sustained fights.
Look at the farm, man. Look at the farm on Kevin and on the Yellow Star. That is incredible, and it's completely puts to shame.
And Ocelot, Kevin Yellow Star and Ocelot,
yeah,
just
put
the three of them.
Cowtard. Well, here's the thing. You look at the lane matchups. Cowtard and Ocelot. That's about a 1K difference, all things said and done. But you look at Kevin. You look at Yellow Star in comparison to their lane opponents. That is huge.
Yeah, and it was a lot more even in lane, and actually in WinFact's favor. It's just by stalling off for so long, SK actually took advantage of WinFact's pushing. So WinFact, they kept them pushing as a group, which meant that they were never farming. They were just pushing in as a group. And SK, would be trying to hold off multiple lanes at once.
Yeah.
So they're able to take advantage of that, and they're able to power farm as a result. And just slowly, bring it back against WinFact. It looked bleak. It looked like WinFact had it, but SK, really nice play all around. Ocelot, and Yellow Star in particular.
But I think the question needs to be asked though. So is this good play from SK or is this a throw from WinFact?
Yeah, you can always make the argument for both, but there wasn't really any particular play where you could look at it and say, oh, WinFact, they just, blew it so badly there. It was just they were struggling. They were trying to be aggressive in order to push home their advantage, and Anivia is just almost impossible to push against. And they were really struggling to push home their advantage. You would see things like Etnix getting caught out of position as Ezreal in a fight, but it was really because they didn't have enough damage as a team. So he's, trying to get up in their face and do enough damage as he can, but because Ezreal has short range, he's naturally vulnerable, and they didn't have enough damage. That was pure plain and simple. They didn't have enough as the game progressed, and SK just held off. So,
yeah. But as the thing though, this was game one.
Yeah, it was a very cool game one.
I would hope to see an Anivia ban for game two coming in from WinFact. Maybe replace that Gragas ban. But we're going to find out in just a little bit. Game 2 going to be coming up pretty soon. SK versus the former Mega Shock, now WinFact. We're going to do a quick commercial, and we'll be back in just a moment.